Hey kids, you ready to talk about compression? I think we're ready to talk about it. We've got there. You've earned this. Okay, compression. This is um, a type of plugin in most DAWs. There's also hardware versions of it. Basically, what it does is it can make your louder sounds not be quite as loud compared to the other ones. So this is really handy if you have a recording where maybe they're playing the drums and there's just one snare head that's way louder than everything else. So you want to be able to boost the whole volume, but there's that one snare head that's going to make it distort. So add some compression and it brings it down to the same volume as the others. Alright, so before we get into this is just a default setting from a compressor plugin. So you have 5 main settings on any compressor. You got threshold, gain, ratio, attack, and release. Okay, so mostly right now we're going to talk about threshold and ratio when we're working with these diagrams. Okay, so let's say I want to draw a diagram with maybe I'll spell that right. Threshold of -6. Okay, and then let's say I want my gain, no, not gain, ratio. Let's say I want that to be 2 to 1. Okay, so what that means is we find -6 on here, and at -6 the output and the input will be equal to each other. So right there, -6 match. And so we'll have a straight line going from the corner to there. So -10 input equals -10 output, -8 input equals -8 output, all the way up the line. Once it gets to this threshold, that's when the compressor starts kicking in. So it doesn't affect anything below -6, but anything that's louder than that, it will start compressing at a ratio of 2 to 1. So for every 2 of input, you'll get 1 of output. So now if I go over here to -4, let's try and draw that a little better. It'll be more like this line. Okay, so at -4 input, we're getting -5 output. -2 input, we're getting -4 output, and so on, until we get to 0, and at 0 we're getting -3 output. So ratio of 2 to 1. So basically you could take what would have been the output if we had kept going on that same trajectory and divide it by half. So where I would have had -2, what's half of that? -4. Or where I would have had -4, what's half of that? Well, it's not, you don't divide it exactly by half, it's half of the distance in between the threshold. So that's 2 dB, what's half of 2 is 1, so instead you have 1. Up here, -2 is 4 dB louder than 6, what's half of 4? 2. Okay, so that's a 2 to 1 ratio. What if we had a same threshold, -6, what if our ratio is 4 to 1? Okay, so let's find where the 2 6's meet. I'll draw that there. Now this is going to be a steeper compression, so every time that I go to the right 4, I'm only going to go up 1. So like that, and now I go right 4 again, and up 1. Okay, that means here's where the volume would be without the compression. So if I had something that got all the way up here to 0, so that's an increase of 6 from the threshold, so it's 6 louder than that. What's 6 divided by 4? I don't know, you got me, but it's somewhere down here. Okay, or what's here? This is an easy one. So if I had a sound that would have got up here to -2, well, that's an increase of 4 decibels from 6. So what's 4 divided by 4 is 1. So it compresses it down to 1 dB. Okay, so that's how threshold and ratio work. Now, this is why we might want to have gain here afterwards. So the gain is applied after the compressor. I don't know why it comes before it in these settings. Seems like these should swap spots here, but whatever. So the gain is applied to everything. So if I had a gain of 0, then this would be it. It would look exactly like this. That would mean that all of these loud sounds would just be quieter, and all these quieter sounds would stay the same. But what if my gain was, let's say my gain is 6. That would mean that I take the whole thing and raise it up 6 dB. So whatever is here at -6 would go up to 0. Well, what's the problem with doing that? That means that anything that's louder than 0, we're going to get distortion, because all this stuff is now too loud. So you want to be careful with your gain and make sure you don't set it higher than what your loudest sound is going to be. So in this case, with a 4:1 ratio, my loudest sound is going to be -4, because anything that would have been 0 dB is now at the loudest -4, right? So I could have a gain of 4 and probably still be fine. Let's try this and see. So here's -6. Let's bring that dot up to -2. Yeah, and my loudest sounds will still be below that. But now see how all of these just got louder too? So this sound was down here at -11. So now those quiet sounds got brought up to -7 or so. So the gain affects everything, not just what's above the threshold. Then attack and release, we'll deal with those on a later date. Okay, let's try one more of these. What if my threshold is -8 and my ratio is 6:1? Okay, well, let's find where -8 meets. So that's going to be a straight line there. Now for every 6 that I move to the right, I'll move up 1. So here's 6, up 1. Helps to have a ruler when you're drawing these, but something like that. Okay, so if we draw a dotted line, see how these new ones are now way quieter than they would have been otherwise. But that means if we had, waveforms that, if you have one really loud noise like that, it'll bring this sucker down. If it would have been at 0, it'll bring that down to right about here, like that. And now we can boost that whole signal and make everything a lot louder. Okay, so that's how compression works, and that's how you can draw your compression diagrams. Next up, this is an audio envelope, so this might be the waveform of an instrument or something. Maybe this is a guitar, and here's some quieter notes, and then here's a louder strum, and then here you really hit those strings, and it gets all the way up to 0. So in this situation, let's go back. One thing I forgot to cover here. That's one thing I forgot. Let's say you have a limiter. Okay, so a limiter is a type of compressor where basically it just cuts it off at that frequency. So if my limiter threshold was -6, it doesn't matter what your ratio is there, it just flatlines it there. So here's -6, goes like that, and then anything above -6 just gets cut off the top, and it won't get louder than that. So a lot of times you'll have a limiter set to, -0.1 or something like that. So that way, as soon as it gets right about there, then it cuts off those sounds so you don't get distortion. So that's usually how limiters are used. Okay, back to this guy. So if you've got an audio envelope and we're going to apply a threshold to this thing. Let's go up here. So if my threshold was set to -12, so that's this guy right here, and let's say I had a ratio of 2 to 1. Okay, what is that going to do to a waveform like this? Well, first I'm going to want to I'm just going to mark any point here just for reference that it goes above that line. Okay, then anything that is above there will get squashed, basically divided by 2. So here it gets up to -8, so that's a distance of 4. 12 minus 8 is 4. So that means this slope will get divided in half by 10. This one also gets divided in half, so that goes down to here. This point here, divided in half, and then it meets right there again. Okay, this point stays exactly the same, as does everything here. Anything that's below the line stays exactly the same. Okay, where are we at here? -4. So at that time, what's half? Let's see, 12 minus 4 is 8. 8 divided by 2, so we would be right here. Okay, something like that. This one stays exactly the same. And here we get up to 0. So what's half of that? Don't think this is quite right because, yeah, here we're going by 4s and here we're going by 1, but whatever. So this one would come up here to -6. And what's this point here? This is at 8, so this would come down to 10. Like that. So that's how we would draw the audio envelope with the threshold and ratio of these settings. Okay, let's try it again with a different color. Don't know what color this is, purple maybe? So what if my threshold was, let's say -10. And what if my ratio is 4 to 1? Okay, so in that case, let's mark all the spots where they cross -10. Right there. And then these things would be divided by 4. So I'm going to have to just eyeball it instead, but that'll be somewhere around there. This one is, instead of, let's see, that's 6. What's 6 divided by 4? 1.5, something like that. That would be there. 10 to 0. What's 10 divided by 4? 2.5. So about 8.5. Okay, so everything below that stays the same, but then this other stuff gets compressed a lot more. All this stays the same. Then we go up here. Oh, and where else does it cross? So that crosses, that stays above it. So what's that divided by 4? Probably right about there. Okay. Now we've got our two different compressions applied. So you can see that you can get some pretty drastic differences depending on how low you set the threshold and how extreme the ratio is. So give these a shot, and this is going to show up in the test, so make sure you know how to draw these. Good luck.